Assalamualaikum and hi to our lecturer, Dr. Nurul Akmal and fellow friends. Today, our group will present our system, i.e. Spectacles Database Management System. Our group consists of 5 members. First, JING, CHERN, CHERN, SITI SOFIA, and last, KHAIRUL IKHWAN. For introduction or background for the system, most staff are employed to cope with the ever-increasing amount of paperwork. Second, communication and sharing of information between branches is poor. For problem statement, first, repeated spectacles data on the company document. Second, staff use a lot of time to manage spectacles data. Each branch spectacles data sometimes is not accurate. For mission statement, to develop a spectacles database management that we can insert, update, delete the data in efficient way. Every branch of the spectacles outlet can access the data through internet and check the information of each branch that have been stored. For mission objective for this system, first, to maintain, insert, update, delete data on branches and staff. Second, to perform search on branches, staff, and supplier. Third, to track the status on branches, staff, and supplier. And the last, to report on branches and staff. For system boundary, sales staff can access the sales management, and all financial data should be backed up and stored in database for safekeeping and audit purpose. Second, inventory staff can view the stock level for each spectacles and manage the inventory. Any modification to the inventory data must be stored in database. Third, purchasing details for every inventory that the by supplier are stored in a database. And lastly, manager and headquarter can access the most up-to-date report for sales record and inventory record. Okay, for main user view, manager can access type for all data in the system. While for staff can only access type in data all branch in type report. For single branch in query and report. For all staff in report. For branch staff, query and report. And for all supplier, staff cannot be accessed the type. And lastly, for branch supplier, staff only can access type query only. Okay, next, for system requirement specification, first, initialize database size, database rate of growth, the type and average number of record search, networking and share access requirement, performance, security, backup and recovery, and the last, legal issue.
Based on the DFT diagram, all the staff, including the manager, inventory staff, and salesperson, must register for an account at a branch, which records their personal details. After done the registration, all the staff need to log in before using this system. Salesperson required to update the total sales of the spectacle to the database and need to record the daily sales of the branch in a report. Inventory staff can access to keep track of inventory, including the information such as stock level. Inventory staff are responsible to place orders from suppliers and update the inventory stock level of spectacle to database. They are required to generate a report about inventory information at a branch. Manager can check the sales of the spectacles and check the stock level that reported by staff when there are any updates.
Okay, there are 3 transaction requirements first manager, second sales staff, and last is inventory staff. Okay, for manager, for data entry, enter the details of sales at a branch. For data update or deletion, update and delete the data of daily sales of spectacles. For data query, display the total sales and average sales of each branch. Next, display the details of sales at a given branch. Okay, for sales staff, for data entry, enter the details of sales at a branch. For data update or deletion, update or delete the details of daily sales of spectacles. For data query, display the total sales and average sales of each branch. Next, display the details of sales at a given branch. Okay, lastly, for inventory staff, for data entry, enter the details for new inventory and the supplier. For data update or deletion, update or delete the details of inventory of spectacles. And last, for data query, list the details of spectacles inventory. Second, display all the names and the telephone number of supplier.
Okay, so my name is KHAIRUL and I'm from S1G2. I'm going to continue our presentation about UML diagram. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the introduction of UML diagram. UML diagram has additional concept of enhanced entity relationship (ER) of specialization and generalization. Specialization and generalization consists of superclass and subclass. Superclass is an entity that includes one or more distinct subgrouping of its occurrence, while subclass is a distinct subgrouping of occurrence of the entity type. Superclass and subclass has one-to-one relationship. Superclass may contain overlapping or distinct subclasses. Not all members of superclass need to be a member of subclass. As example of our project diagram here, so you can see here, this part-time and full-time is the subclass of the entities of staff. Staff is the superclass of part-time and full-time. All the attributes in the superclass will be inherit to the subclass of part-time and full-time. Other than that, we can also see the sales staff, inventory staff, and manager is the subclass of full-time, while full-time is a superclass of this three entity. It will also inherit all the attributes in the superclass. Okay, so we go to our next slide. We will talk about the validation of EERD against the user transaction. So, in this slide, this diagram will be validated by the transaction path. As an example, the red line M1 is the transaction path. It's an example of transaction path. For example, our first data query M1 stated that list the name and telephone number of each manager at each branch ordered by name, while the M2 transaction path stated that list the name and full address of each branch. So all the other red line in the diagram will represent this transaction path that has its own query. Okay, so the next slide. This is our object relationship data model based on logical design. For example, our name entity from UML becomes the type of name type with data type of string and length that holds varchar 15. And also, this is the same example as the name type. Okay, this next slide is the represent the object relationship data model based on logical design. Of our entity from UML becomes type position list var type with data type string and has a maximum 3 values and varchar that holds 20, size 20. Next is the entity of staff from the UML diagram becomes the type of staff type with the data type string, object type, and date and varchar. Each of the attributes contain different type of data type. Next, There is some more of our example of our relational data model based on the logical data model, such as the type of part-time, change to the part-time type, and also this full-time type. And last of all, this is our last example of type supplier type. Okay, that is all from me. I hope you guys understand. Thank you.
Now we move to physical design. I will demonstrate the data definition language for types and relation. First, we create the data type which we are going to use. And now we create the table. Since all the data definition language works fine, the data type and table are successfully created. And we need to insert some data into the table. Alright, the data insert complete. Now we try to use DDL to display some data. We try to list the name and the telephone number for each manager at each branch. And the data is shown. So the physical design for the spectacles management system is done and works fine. That's all for our project. Thank you.